Hello and welcome to my channel. I scared my dog. Sorry, Bowie. Anyway, today we're here to talk about the DIOR Backstage Foundation. I've always wanted to try this and now I finally have the chance because they reformulated it and well, I thought it was high time. So this is the DIOR Backstage Face and Body Foundation. They say it's a second skin effect, natural finish, water and heat resistant with buildable coverage. My dog is laying underneath the table now. So what I like about these claims is, of course, it's summer now, well, almost, and it's pretty hot, and I get a little bit sweaty. So both heat and water resistance sounds like a dream to me. Then this natural finish I can live with. I feel like with a little bit of highlight and maybe a glowy primer, that could definitely also work in winter. And then the second skin effect, I've definitely seen this in the previous version on other people, that it does have a beautiful thin layer on the skin. And buildable coverage is of course always nice. So I have mine in the shade 1W. And the first thing I noticed when I looked at the bottle is that it's actually, yeah, I do see this correctly. It's 50 mils or 1.7 fluid ounce. And you wouldn't say that if you saw this bottle, but it is plastic. So that means that the layer around the foundation is pretty thin. So there's actually a lot more product in here than if this was a glass bottle. So I like this packaging. It seems very travel friendly. I still think it looks kind of chic. It has the DIOR logo on top. And I think this shade is going to be pretty good for me. Maybe a little bit dark, but I am actually slowly developing a very slight tan. I don't really tan a lot, but you know, it happens a little bit. So I think this is going to be fine. So of course I've already done my eyes and my brows, and yeah, I'm going to put this to the test the way I usually would. So I'm going to use a primer and powder just because I am going into town this afternoon, and well, with this type of weather, it just wouldn't last. Even though my skin is normal, I do get a little bit of oil coming out through my nose, coming through my nose and like over here. And I do get a little sweaty on my upper lip, chin, and here between my brows. So I do actually need a primer to combat that. Any foundation won't last on me otherwise. I think that's fair. We're going to do a pretty long wear test today, I hope. It's now 11 o'clock, so I'm sure this will be a 13-14 hour wear test. I hope so. And it'll be tested through the heat, air conditioning, probably changing a couple of times. It'll get a proper wear. So the primer that I like to use recently is the Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm. This does have a slight tint, but like I said, this is just the way I would use it. This is the perfect primer because it does soak up a little bit of the sweat, and it also makes sure that whenever I do sweat, my makeup does last. So I actually do really need this product. And I only use a little bit. Bye! I hope if this video isn't entertaining to you, then my dog makes up for it. By the way, if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I do a lot of makeup videos. I try to do a couple of long form videos every week. And I try to do a short every day, all about makeup, a little bit of lifestyle, fashion, all stuff like that. So please subscribe if that sounds interesting to you. So as you can see, it does give a little bit of coverage, but really not that much. So just apply it in the center of my face and on my forehead. So if you really want to know what the coverage of this foundation is all on its own, then you should definitely take a look at how it looks on this whole cheek area. And that's my problem area anyway. So we are going to see how it covers this redness, these post-blemish marks, of course this well, what is called birthmark that I have over here. So we can still properly see the coverage. All right, I don't know if this is necessary, but I'm going to shake it up. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's quite liquidy. I guess I expected that. with their claims being it being a very thin layer of foundation. And I do think this color is going to work. All right, so let's apply. Oh, wow. This feels really light, and please don't mind the hairs from my brush. This feels really light and hello, Bowie. Are you going to lay there? He's bored by my review. Anyway, really light and very watery, but really in a nice way. It feels almost more cooling than any other foundation would. And as you can see, this is truly not that much product that I'm using right now. And it's covering everything beautifully, even this birthmark. And I don't need it to be fully covered. I don't need anything to be fully covered. But I do like my skin to be a little bit more even. That's really nice. I never truly appreciate the thinness of a foundation until I try one like this. And then I'm like, oh, why can't all foundations be like that? But then sometimes I like a really thick, dewy foundation as well. So it doesn't really matter. It lays equally well on top of the primer as well as my bare skin. My nose is always the most tricky part. I always need to pay a little bit more attention to that area, but this is what it's looking like. I think the shade match is really good. I was worried that it would be a little bit too dark or too yellow, but no, I think it's perfect. What do we think? I like the natural radiance, and I should add that the Nessa Myrix primer does mattify my face a little bit. But I still think there's a healthy glow, which I also see over here. It hasn't really set down yet, but it might. All right, let's just go ahead and do the other side of the face as well. It does have a smell. It's a makeup-y, florally smell. I don't hate it, but it is there. Look at how easily that spreads. I'm hardly using any pressure. Right, I still have a little bit left, so I'm going to see how buildable this formula is. So I'm going on top of this spot. You know what? I hardly see it anymore. Well, I guess I do still a little bit, and I don't really love the way it looks layered up upon itself. So yeah, you don't get a full coverage, but you definitely get a pretty high medium. But I wouldn't recommend it. I think this type of foundation is just the prettiest when it's a little bit thinner. That's the beauty of it. So I wouldn't build it up too much. And it is starting to set down where I put it down first. So yeah, so far so good. Let me add just a couple of products, a little bit of powder, concealer, maybe a blush and a lipstick, something like that, and I'll be right back. So I'm back. I've done my full face of makeup and I love the way this is looking. So I did what I said I would. I applied a little bit of the Too Faced concealer. I applied a little bit of this new Wet n Wild 5-in-1 Essence Primer plus Finish Powder, mainly underneath my eyes, in the center of my face, and a little bit on my nose and forehead. I think this part over here is just foundation. No primer, no powder, no bronzer, no nothing. So this is an area we could, you know, see stuff happening all on its own. But I needed it to be a full face. So yeah, I really like this look. I really like the way this foundation is looking at the moment. So I have high hopes. But in an hour or so, I will be going to the city and I'll be there for a couple of hours in the heat. And we'll see if this is actually heat and sweat resistant as it claims. So I'll try and do a check-in later today, and yeah, I'll definitely do one later tonight. So yeah, let's see what happens. Hello and welcome to my first and last update. It's currently 11:45, so I've been wearing this makeup for about 13 hours and I feel like it's time to take it off. And I also feel like I have my thoughts for this wear test. I'll show you some footage that I took at about 5:30, so halfway point. And I did notice at that point that my skin looked a little bit more glowy, but it overall held up really well. Also on my upper lip, on my chin, around my nose, everything looked pretty good, I felt like. Also, somewhere in between those hours, like after 2 hours, I felt like it looked a little bit heavy at some points, but that looked a little bit better at the halfway point. So I don't know what happened there, but I did walk around town a lot. I walked the dog, I was busy, and maybe my oils just came through a little bit and made the foundation look a little bit more natural. Now, going back to what it's looking like right now, I definitely feel like I'm quite glowy, especially here on my forehead, my nose. There's really quite a bit of dew there, also around here, but it didn't really break up my foundation. And also like these spots that I didn't put any of the powder or the primer, I also feel like they held up really nicely. So the only thing that I would have to say is that it did start to, break up a little bit around my nose from, I don't know, touching it. But honestly, not that much. It's not the prettiest foundation I've ever worn. It's not the most long lasting, but it is quite reliable. Felt an itch or anything annoying on my skin all day. So that is a definite plus. I feel like it's an easy foundation to work with. It's a good staple. It's not the best foundation that I have just because, well, I guess the finish could have been a little bit more blurring or a little bit more glowy or something to make it stand out a little bit more. But it's a good, solid foundation. That's my view at this point. If you want to see more about this foundation, I'm going to do speed reviews very soon and I'll test this foundation a little bit more and I'll tell you what I think of it after using it a little bit more. But so far, after a full day wear test, this is where my thoughts are at. I would definitely recommend it, especially because it did wear pretty well and it was very hot and humid today. And you do get a lot of product in the foundation and it is nice. It's like, it won't be your special occasion foundation, that I don't think. But it'll be a very nice staple for an everyday foundation, that I do believe. So yeah, make of that what you will. Subscribe if you like this video, like if you like this video. And thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one.